Timmy, you've been asking me to make a settings video for months now. So if you just click on this video and you copy my settings exactly and you just leave the video, I don't even want to look at you, Timmy. For real though, guys, in this video, I'm going to fully in-depth walk through my settings in every setting, why I think you should use what I use or something similar to what I use, and what I think is best for console versus PC. Stay around for the whole explanation. It's going to be boring if you don't understand settings or if you don't use controller, and I'll put the complete settings at the end of the video. So if you want to just skip to the end, you can go ahead. I know a bunch of you are going to do that, and that's absolutely fine. It's your bro, Rodey. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. This video is going to be in segments, so you can skip to each little part. But first of all, we're going to be talking about the obvious thing in the whole room. I am on Exponential now. For proof, you guys can see it right there. I am on Exponential, and I want to crush one myth that I heard the longest time before I actually switched to Expo, and it's one of the things that kept me from switching to Exponential originally. And that was, if you're on Exponential, you have to sacrifice your mechanics. Like, if you're on Exponential, you're not going to be as good at building, you're not going to be as good at editing, and it's going to be a lot harder. Now, as I agree that if you switch from linear to Exponential, it's hard at first, as is if you switch from Exponential to linear. It's absolutely tough switching from either or, but on Exponential, my mechanics right now are better than my mechanics have ever been, even on linear. Now, I think the reason that a lot of people get confused about this and why they think you can't have good mechanics on Exponential is because, yes, Exponential does, your movement starts out slower, right? And then it speeds up really, really quickly. So they think because of that slower movement and it's not the same speed, it's kind of like mouse and keyboard, and you can't have that really good mouse and keyboard, no mouse acceleration movement. But that's not true. It's just on controller. If you're on Exponential, your crosshair placement matters a lot more. So if let's say you're doing a triple edit, right? Like this, and you come through to do this wall on linear, you could get away with editing this wall from like right here to right here because you can really quickly, you're doing the same speed movement really, really fast. But on Exponential, your crosshair placement matters a lot more. And in my opinion, good crosshair placement makes a good player a lot better anyways. And it's something that every Fortnite player needs to learn. Whereas like, you know, good crosshair placement would be right here and you just make that edit right there. Now, if you have good crosshair placement, you see the distance if you're like doing a linear edit and you're just lazy, just flicking the edit like this. A lot of people on linear, back when I was on linear, I would just flick all my edits. I would just like push the stick as far as I could, just really, really quickly. So I would go down like that. But on Exponential, if you're doing it a lot more precise, you're doing the edit like that. So you see how much shorter of a distance you actually have to go. So that's debunking one of the myths that I constantly see with Exponential, is that you can't build well if you're on Expo, and it's just not true at all. You just build in a different way. Linear is a lot of flick movements. Exponential is a lot more precise, good crosshair placement movements. And in my opinion, let me just throw it out there, I think that Exponential ends up being smoother than linear. Linear, in my opinion, seems a lot more bobblehead-like, and Exponential is a lot smoother with your movements, which in the end is a very, very good thing. Now I want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is, why not linear? If you guys remember my biggest video ever on my channel, I don't know how many views, it's up to like 3.5 million views, is on linear settings and why I recommend linear settings. But that was over a year ago. A lot of aim assist changes have happened since that time. A lot of controller changes have happened since that time. And in my opinion, that video is outdated, and linear is no longer the alpha you must use this sends. I want to be really clear too that there is no alpha you must use this sends. Even Exponential, there are downsides to Exponential versus linear, and we're going to get into that. There isn't just this is the best sends. But I'm going to give you a really, really quick explanation on why I was wrong and why I think I'm right now. So back when I thought linear was the best in the world, it made sense, right? Because you're always moving at the same speed, right? If I move the stick this much, I'm going up this much speed. I don't want to get into math, but linear, you're always, no matter what you move the stick, you're moving the same speed at that rate that you move the stick. Expo, you move the stick this far and you're slowly going up, versus if you move it this far, you know, the same distance from start to the ear, not exactly to scale, you go up a lot quicker towards the end. So Exponential, I thought was worse in the beginning because you're going at a different rate. I was like, you can't possibly get that muscle memory down. And on linear, you'd be able to get that muscle memory down. And back when aim assist was broken on PC, I was kind of right. So now that everybody has seen a linear and an Expo curve, let me explain why I think linear is worse now. So let's say you are this close to somebody. Somebody's at this wall. I'm about to fight somebody right here. I get different aim assist this close than I get right here. So on linear, whenever you're moving really quickly, you can't do the micro adjustments from this far away. Or you can, it's just really, really hard. You have to be very, very careful with your stick. And if you're on console, or if you're on maybe a controller that has higher dead zones, those adjustments are super hard to do, and you can't consistently do them. In my opinion, I could never find a sends on linear. I tried everything. I'm telling you, I tried everything on linear. I could never find a sends that I could consistently hit shots from every range. And the reason for that is actually aim assist. So something that everybody thinks makes controllers the best thing in the entire world. You hear mouse and keyboard players say it all the time, is all aim assist this, aim assist that. Well, because aim assist has been nerfed down so much, it used to be the case to where aim assist made up for that on linear. It didn't matter, because even if you were this far on linear, it was pretty magnetic, and you could always hit some shots because of how crazy aim assist was. But now aim assist is to a state to where it's actually pretty balanced, especially from this distance. And you're going to get so many different scenarios on linear, and you're going to see, like, watch your favorite controller players. If they play on linear, a lot of these shots right here are really, really tough for them, especially on PC. On console, you have a little bit stronger aim assist, so it's a different story. But from here, it's really, really hard. Whereas on Expo, I feel so confident hitting shots even from this distance right here. Exponential also solves one more problem I was having on linear, and I'll move to one of these robots to show you guys this. So one of the problems I was having on linear was, like, up close like this. If somebody got behind me and started running, so let's say this guy was running behind me and I had to turn to track him. On linear, I was getting stuck on their body, like right about here. And I'll kill this guy so, you know, that noise stops being so loud. But I was getting stuck on their body, and I wasn't able to rotate all the way to them consistently, right? And that's the key with everything with aiming, is consistency. And the reason for that was because linear, you have to play on a lower sends to play linear. And to move to them, I couldn't move fast enough to where I could consistently hit mid-range shots and consistently hit close-range shots, because that aim assist stickiness is actually so much stronger up close than it is this far away. So it's something that I couldn't get the muscle memory down. Whereas on Expo, because if you push the stick farther, it speeds up, I never have a problem with these up-close shots. I push the stick farther. The second that aim assist starts to lock on, you just push to wherever it's a good spot, and it helps me with headshots as well. So in my opinion, that's another thing that inches Exponential over linear, especially when it comes to aim. Now, the final thing, if you haven't fallen asleep already, of linear versus Exponential, I've always thought that Exponential ADS is just better. It just makes more sense. It is really, if you've ever used ADS on Exponential versus linear, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I also think sniping on Expo is a lot easier too. So I highly recommend Expo for ADS and sniping. And then in my opinion, it makes your mechanics better in the long run. There's a lot of pluses to using Expo. One side note for console players I want to make in this video is that aim assist is stronger on console. I talked about it briefly earlier. But because of that stronger aim assist, you can still get away with using linear easily on console. I still think Exponential would be the better move even on console. But because of the stronger aim assist, you can use linear and hit those mid-range shots still. So linear might still be good on console. I'm going to have to try it out myself whenever I do a console video here soon. But I'm just telling you, I think linear would still be okay on consoles. There's going to be comments about, wow, this guy talks so much before he gets to the settings. But I nerd out on settings, guys. So I want to explain everything. And for the few people who are actually interested, I hope you're enjoying. So let's get into the actual settings. As you can see right here, we have 49 and 58 as my sensitivity. Now, I know it's a staggered sends. It's kind of like Reet's. If you guys have seen Reet's sends, Reet blew up a while back off of using 50-60, and he also had look dampening on. Now, I use 49, what was I? What did I just have? 49-58? I don't even know the exact sends. But I use 49-58. Feels right to me, and I'll explain it a little bit more. And 1.9 for build and edit speed. I don't think that you should have over 2 point something on your build and edit speeds. I've tried those out, and yes, it feels nice having those fast builds and edits, but I have found that anywhere over 2.0 on build and edit throw off my aim, or at least make my aim less consistent. So I would recommend having around there for your build and edit speed, but again, kind of up to personal choice with that. Now, you might be wondering why I staggered my sensitivity, and I staggered based on this old chart. So if you remember, the old legacy sensitivity had its own sensitivities that were really, really nice in my opinion, and they just made the game a lot easier to hit headshots with shotguns. That's something I've noticed with these newer sensitivities. When you rock the same sens, headshots were a little tougher for me to hit personally. But the way you calculate this sensitivity, determine what base sensitivity you want. So what horizontal sens is just right for you. That is what judges your entire sens, right? So maybe 44% horizontal is good for you. Then use this chart that I'm putting on screen for you right here. I believe this came from Tripal or Tripal. It was Trypal. I found this on Reddit, but I believe he's the one that originally made this. And this converts your sens to what the old sensitivities used to be. For whatever reason, this feels so good. You don't have to do exactly what this chart does, but it's actually a really, really good reference if you want to start off your base sens. So let's say you're 44%, try around a 53% vertical and just see how that feels. In my opinion, when I first switched to Expo, doing 49% felt too slow going for headshots, whereas that extra 58%, like putting it up there, helped me out so much more. So I do recommend trying the higher vertical if you're going to switch over to Expo. Now, the really nice part about using Exponential is the ADS. The ADS really isn't that complicated. You can try 15%, 14%, whatever feels good to you. The ADS, I have found, I really haven't found an ADS speed on Expo that feels bad. Like, I don't know what it is about Exponential, but it just feels right. I do want to make one note though. Look horizontal and vertical speed for console. I would probably play on a little bit higher of a sensitivity if I'm on console. Again, I'm going to test this out in the future, and I just don't want to leave you console players out to dry. I think because of the increased input delay on console, I would add a little bit of sensitivity to make up for that input delay. Now, look dampening time is a touchy subject, and let me tell you, this one is a tough one. I have mine on 0 seconds. Now, I know Reet has his on 0.20. I know a lot of people have been trying out look dampening, but in my opinion, the only time you can actually use look dampening consistently is if you have a controller with literally 0 dead zones. So like my controller, I have 12% and 10% dead zones. So basically, the way you can test your dead zone is maybe if you shake your controller a little bit like this. Of course, my webcam was covering it, but you see this little yellow circle right here? That is how you kind of see your dead zone. So like for me, I like to make sure my dead zone is bigger than that yellow circle. Because like if we go to maybe this stick right here, you see on my right stick, sometimes if I like push it one way or the other, the circle will struggle to go back down. So you see like right there, it stays kind of like a big circle. So the reason I have found such a big problem with that and using look dampening is if I'm on like 0.20 look dampening, sometimes I'm going to move my stick to the right and I'm going to get that look dampening on that initial movement. But if I then like immediately move back to the left or I go back to the center, I'm not going to get that look dampening sometimes because my dead zones aren't good enough and it's not going to reset. So then I'm inconsistently getting look dampening sometimes and other times I'm not getting it. And it really just throws off all muscle memory. So I wouldn't recommend look dampening. Here's my settings all the way through just so you guys can see them. There it is. Now, if these settings don't make you guys absolutely cracked, you can't blame me. I'm telling you, like right now, you can get good mechanics on these settings. It's not impossible. It's going to feel weird for a few days. I'm telling you right now, Exponential felt awful for me for probably maybe like 3 to 5 days. And then all of a sudden, I just felt amazing on Expo. And my build started clicking. My shots started hitting. It was actually really, really nice. So please be patient. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you came here and you actually listened, you didn't just copy down the settings, I appreciate you. And I'll see you all in the next video.